The forgotten massacre of Black Wall Street stands as one of the most egregious and violent racial injustices in American history. It is a story of prosperity and destruction, of resilience and devastation. On May 31 and June 1st, 1921, the thriving African-American community of Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as Black Wall Street, was decimated in one of the most brutal and destructive race riots the United States has ever witnessed. Yet for decades, this atrocity was all but erased from history books, buried under the weight of silence and neglect. Greenwood was a beacon of Black economic success in a time of rampant racial segregation and violence. Established in the early 20th century, it was home to a thriving business district that earned its nickname, Black Wall Street, due to the remarkable prosperity of its Black residents. The area boasted luxury shops, restaurants, theaters, and even its own newspapers. African Americans in Greenwood had managed to build a prosperous, self-sustaining community, despite the systemic racism that pervaded every aspect of American life. At the heart of Greenwood's success was the spirit of entrepreneurship and economic independence. Black men and women in Greenwood owned their businesses, from grocery stores and barber shops to many of them were descendants of former slaves who had come to Oklahoma during the land rush in search of opportunity. Their success was not just economic but symbolic. It represented the possibility of Black self-sufficiency and prosperity in the face of intense racial discrimination. However, this success also made Greenwood a target of resentment among the white residents of Tulsa. The city was deeply segregated, and the wealth of Black Wall Street starkly contrasted with the poverty that afflicted many white residents. This economic disparity, coupled with the deeply ingrained racism of the time, created a powder keg of racial tension that was ready to explode at the slightest provocation. The spark that ignited the Tulsa Race Massacre was a tragic and all too common incident in the Jim Crow South, a false accusation of sexual assault. On May 30th, 1921, a young Black man named Dick Rowland was accused of assaulting a white woman named Sarah Page in an elevator. The details of what actually occurred are unclear, but what is certain is that the accusation spread quickly and inflamed the already simmering racial tensions in Tulsa. Rowland was arrested and taken to the county courthouse. That evening, rumors spread that a lynch mob was forming to take Rowland from the jail and hang him. In response, a group of Black men, many of them World War I veterans, armed themselves and went to the courthouse to protect Rowland. They were met by a larger group of white men, and in the ensuing confrontation, a shot was fired. The situation quickly spiraled out of control, and the white mob turned its fury on Greenwood. Over the next 24 hours, the white mob descended on Greenwood, looting and burning homes and businesses. Airplanes were used to drop incendiary devices on the community, and many eyewitnesses reported seeing machine guns being fired from the planes. The National Guard was called in, but rather than protecting the Black residents, many of them were detained and held in makeshift internment camps. Those who were not detained were often killed on sight. By the time the violence subsided, much of Greenwood lay in ruins. Over 1,000 homes and businesses were destroyed, and estimates of the death toll range from 100 to 300 people, though the exact number remains unknown. The survivors were left homeless and destitute, their once thriving community reduced to ashes. In the aftermath of the massacre, there was no effort by local authorities to hold those responsible accountable. In fact, many survivors were further victimized by being blamed for the violence. Insurance companies refused to pay out claims, citing a clause that exempted them from liability in cases of civil unrest. The city of Tulsa and the state of Oklahoma did little to help the survivors rebuild their lives. The massacre was quickly buried under a shroud of silence. For decades, the events of May 31 and June 1, 1921 were omitted from history books, and many survivors were too traumatized to speak about what had happened. It wasn't until the late 20th century that the massacre began to receive the attention it deserved, thanks in large part to the efforts of historians and activists who sought to uncover the truth and seek justice for the victims and the descendants. The legacy of the Tulsa Race Massacre is one of pain and loss, but it is also a testament to the resilience of the Black community. Despite the destruction of Black Wall Street, the survivors of Greenwood and their descendants have continued to fight for justice and recognition. In recent years, there has been a renewed effort to memorialize the massacre and to seek reparations for the survivors and their families. In 1997, the Oklahoma State Legislature established the Tulsa Race Riot Commission, later renamed the Tulsa Race Massacre Commission, to investigate the events of 1921 and make recommendations for reparations. The commission's 2001 report concluded that the state and city had conspired to destroy Greenwood and recommended several forms of reparations, including direct payments to survivors and their descendants, the establishment of a scholarship fund, and the creation of a memorial. In 2021, on the 100th anniversary of the massacre, President Joe Biden visited Tulsa to commemorate the event and announced several initiatives to address the racial wealth gap in America. While these efforts are a step in the right direction, the fight for justice for the victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre continues. The story of Black Wall Street and its destruction is not just a story of the the past. It is a story that speaks to the ongoing struggle for racial justice in America. The economic disparities and racial tensions that led to the massacre in 1921 are still present today. The legacy of Black Wall Street serves as a powerful reminder of the need to confront and address these issues if we are to move toward a more just and equitable society. The forgotten massacre of Black Wall Street is a chapter of American history that cannot and should not be ignored. It is a story of a community that rose to greatness against all odds, only to be destroyed by the forces of racism and hatred. But it is also a story of resilience, of a people who refuse to be defeated and who continue to fight for justice and recognition to this day. The massacre highlighted the deep-seated racial tensions and prejudices that still exist in American society, influencing modern discussions on race relations and social justice. The destruction of Black Wall Street, a thriving African-American business district, served as a reminder of the importance of economic empowerment and the need for financial independence in the Black community. It played a significant role in the civil rights movement, with many activists drawing parallels between the destruction of Black Wall Street and the ongoing struggles for racial equality. It has inspired a new generation of Black entrepreneurs, with many seeking to rebuild and revitalize the economic and cultural heritage of Black Wall Street. It has led to increased efforts to preserve African-American history and culture, with many museums, archives, and historical societies working to document and protect the legacy of Black Wall Street. It has served as a catalyst for racial healing and reconciliation, with many individuals and communities working to address the ongoing effects of systemic racism and discrimination. It has highlighted the ongoing issue of economic inequality in America, with many arguing that the destruction of Black Wall Street was a direct result of systemic racism and economic oppression. It has led to increased efforts to preserve African-American culture, with many artists, musicians, and writers drawing inspiration from the history and legacy of Black Wall Street. It has led to increased education and awareness about the history of Black Wall Street and the ongoing struggles of the African-American community, with many schools and institutions incorporating the story into their curricula. It has served as a powerful symbol of the ongoing struggle for social justice and equality, with many activists and advocates using the story to highlight the need for systemic change and reform. The film Black Panther in 2018, based on the Marvel Comics character, features a scene where the main character, T'Challa, talks about the destruction of Black Wall Street, highlighting the ongoing struggle for racial equality and the importance of preserving African-American culture. 12 Years a Slave in 2013 from director Steve McQueen, Fences in 2016 with Denzel Washington also referenced the Black Wall Street massacre in their film. As we remember the victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre and honor the legacy of Black Wall Street, we must also commit ourselves to the ongoing work of racial justice. The lessons of Greenwood are as relevant today as they were a century ago. We must confront the painful truths of our past if we are to build a more just and equitable future. If you enjoyed this epic journey, please subscribe to our channel for more thrilling historical tales. Don't miss out on new videos. Hit the notification bell to stay updated.